Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. I have been solving data sufficiency problems for GMAT out of this book here, GMAT Review, the official guide, 12th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You should be able to find it at mba.com. The problem that I'm about to solve is the one that you're going to find on page number 276, number data sufficiency problem, number 37. Let's take a look at it, see what it has to say. It's important that you have the book in front of you, turn to the page and read the problem with me, otherwise you will not follow it. It says, the selling price of an article is equal to the cost of the article plus the markup. Alright, so the selling price equals the cost of the article plus the markup. And then they go on to tell us that the markup on a certain television set, or actually they did not go on to tell us anything. The next sentence is the question. The question is, the markup on a certain television set, is what percentage of the selling price? So the question is, markup is what percent of selling price? In other words, what they want us to figure out is this part here, the ratio of markup to selling price, and that will tell us the percentage. Let's see what they give us. Statement number 1. Since this is a data sufficiency problem, the very first thing we should do before we do our work is to write down AD, BCE. Get in the habit. And if you still do not know what I'm doing here, go and watch this video, GMAT data sufficiency intro. Watch that video, just type in that tag and you'll find it. And that's where I explain what all of these answer choices mean and what I'm doing here and a mnemonic device and all that. Anyway, statement number one says the markup on a certain television set is 25% of the cost. All right. So here we are told that markup is 25% of the cost. Markup is 25% of the cost. And somehow we have to figure out if this information is enough, if this data is enough to ascertain the value of the ratio of M and S. Well, let's find out. We also know the selling price. We're told is cost plus the markup, which we are told this part here, which means that the selling price equals, you don't have to do any of this in the exam. If you're quick enough to realize that this information is enough to figure out this ratio, you're done. You see, here we have the selling price. Selling price expressed in terms of cost, markup is expressed in terms of cost. When I insert this value for markup up here, and when I insert this value, this is the S, when I insert this value for the S, this tells me that the selling price must have been 125% of the cost, which makes sense. The selling price would have to be 125% of the cost because we are told that the selling price is cost plus the markup, and we are told that the markup is 25% of the cost. So if the markup is 25% of the cost, the selling price would have to be 25% markup plus the cost of the item, hence 125% of the cost. Once we have the selling price expressed in terms of cost, we have the markup expressed in terms of cost. Of course we can figure out the ratio because C is going to drop out, as you will find in a second. Therefore, and this symbol is still, if you do not know, this symbol here, it means therefore. If you have, I'm digressing here big time, I don't know why. This symbol here with 2 dots and a third dot at the bottom means since. Since not as in time, but since as in logic. Do you understand? Since Adam is older than Michael and Michael is older than Jennifer, therefore Adam must be older than Jennifer, so on and so forth. That's since in logic. I don't know, as I said, I don't know why I'm digressing. But anyway, selling price is 125% of the cost. Therefore, this ratio, markup over the selling price, which is what is going to give us the markup as a percentage of selling price, markup over selling price must be markup, which is 25% of the cost, over selling price, which is 125% of the cost. As you can see clearly here, the cost drops out, and we end up with a ratio of 1/5. because there are 5 25s into 125. That tells me that the markup as a percentage of selling price must be 20%. Markup is 20% of the selling price, which also makes sense if you think about it, because selling price is cost plus 25% of the selling price is cost plus the 25% of the cost, 125% of the cost. So if you're selling it at 125% of the cost, if you use the base of a selling price, using the base as a selling price, that 25% markup actually as a percentage of the selling price would turn out to be 20%. You understand? That's what it is. For example, anyway, the first item, the first statement by itself is enough. That tells us that that the correct answer, whatever it is, cannot be B, C, or E. It has to be either A or a D. I was about to give you an example to make you understand quickly as to what's going on here. Let's say, for example, let's take something very simple. Let's say we are selling the cost of something is $100, and we are adding $25 to it, which is our profit here, and we are selling it for $125. This is the selling price. You see here the profit, I should call it markup actually, it makes it easier. Let's say I'm selling something, let's say I buy something for $100, I add 25% of the markup and I sell it for 125%. What I'm trying to make you understand is that if you're looking at this markup as a percentage of the cost, as you can clearly see, this markup as a percentage of the cost is 25%. But this markup as a percentage of the selling price is 20%. As you can see, this is 1/5 of 125. That's what we found there. So statement 1 by itself is enough. The answer has to be either A or a D. Let's see if statement 2 also does the job by itself. In statement 2, they go on to tell us that the selling price of the television is $250. Selling price of the television is $250. Well, knowing that the selling price is $250 and knowing that the selling price equals cost plus some markup is not going to help us figure out what the markup is as a percentage of the selling price. There is no way to figure it out because there is no way to figure out the cost of the item. Once we know the cost, we know the markup is 25% cost, but this statement is just not enough for us to ascertain what the cost of the item must have been. Simply telling me that you sell it for 25, simply telling us that you sell it for $250 is not enough to figure out this ratio. Markup as a percentage of the cost. So second statement by itself is worthless. You see, here we know the absolute amount. We know it is $250. Well, how do we figure out the M, the markup? There is no way to figure it out based on the statement, based on this information that is given in statement 2 alone. So the answer is A. That's all. The answer is A. And we are done as far as this thing is concerned. That's how straightforward and simple it was. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, send me an email. Go to my website at www.prep4gmat.com or www.keshwaniprep.com. Alright? Thank you very much.